Today we're going to be taking a look at a recipe to rewrite a blog post. This also works to expand any existing content. This is a recipe by me, Amanda Weston, at Blogs by Jarvis, blogsbyjarvis.com. What can we achieve with this recipe? We can quickly rewrite or expand existing content with a few simple steps. Before we start this recipe, there are some things that you're going to want to know. I've put these under the setup section. You're going to want to know who your audience is. So who is this blog post for? The motivation. What action are you trying to motivate people to take with this piece of content? And then the product, service, or solution. What is being offered by this content? The recipe itself is just a few simple steps. And today we're going to run it with a live example based on some content one of my group members over at Blogs by Jarvis, blogging with Jarvis AI on Facebook, requested. So here is the original content, Florida Veterans Disability Benefits for Neurological Disorders. I believe this is actually a blog post for a lawyer, and the purpose of this blog post is to get people to contact the lawyer to get advice on benefits for neurological disorders. So we're going to look at this recipe. So what are the instructions here? First thing, paste in original content H1 below the recipe. So here I have my example recipe set up and I've pasted in all of the information. I have added 3 stars here so that Jarvis isn't seeing the recipe above at this moment. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the steps from the recipe and paste them in to the content. Now, normally with the recipe, you would run the recipe in order and it would be creating the content, but seeing as we already have content here, we need to paste the recipe within the content. So let's look at our first command here. The first command is going to be rewrite the above as a blog post intro paragraph with bullet points, talking to the audience, which in this case is Florida veterans. So now we can get rid of audience because we know who it is. It's the motivation, they're seeking help. And what's the product, service, or solution? Disability benefits for neurological disorders. So our command is rewrite the above as a blog post intro paragraph with bullet points, talking to Florida veterans seeking disability benefits for neurological disorders. So we're going to take that command and we're going to pop it here under the first piece of content. Sorry. So we have the H1 of the blog post here, and then we have the original content here, and here we have our command. So now I'm going to hit Command-Shift-Enter, and I'm going to run the command with the command in place. I like to do that. You can do it and remove the command at the same time, but it's just a little habit that I've got into, and I just like keeping the command in place. It's a complete personal choice. You can get the tips on how you can run the commands here. So here are your keyboard shortcuts. So I do Command-Shift-Enter, which keeps the command in place. If you just want to run the command and the command disappears, Command-Enter. If you're doing Command-Enter and you don't like the output, you're going to need to know about using Command/ so that you can rerun. But that's why I like to keep Command-Shift-Enter, because I'm quite fussy with my content. Okay, so here we have the first command, and we're going to run that. Okay, the first thing that I love about this is, look at this sentence. Florida veterans, the state of Florida has taken notice of your service and is here to help you. I mean, in context, we're probably not talking as the state of Florida, but you could edit that a little bit. But I really like the fact that that's saying thank you for your service. So veterans can suffer from a variety of conditions because of the time in the military, including neurological disorders. A neurological disorder affects the brain and can be amongst the most debilitating conditions veterans can suffer. So this is already good content. And look, we've got our bullet points here. And I'm just going to get rid of apply now and just see if we can get a few more bullet points. So in this case, I'm just going to hit compose now. Okay, the reason that I did that, and I just wanted to show you, is because I left the command in place here, Jarvis repeated it because he follows patterns. So what I'm going to do here is I'm now going to remove the original command and then just hit compose. This is very specific content. Obviously, you'd want to fact check. So veterans can get compensation through filing a claim with the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs with support from an experienced attorney. We will fight on your behalf. Okay, so this was our original content. And this is our expanded content. In fact, to here, but I think that I would just delete this one because. Okay, so let's go back to our recipe. So the commands were rewrite the above and then delete the original section and just keep composing. So let's get rid of the original section, and this is our new content. Okay, so the next step would be put 3 stars, asterisks, above that content. So now we're looking at a different section. The reason that we do this is it stops Jarvis looking at any of this information because we don't want him to repeat that information. We want to move on to the next section. So we have this. This is going to be an H2 because it's a title from the previous blog post. And then we're going to take the command again because our recipe says add 3 stars and then repeat the command and then do it for all sections. So section 2. Is traumatic brain injuries. Rewrite the above content as a blog post intro paragraph with bullet points talking to Florida veterans seeking disability benefits for neurological disorders. And again, I'm doing Command-Shift-Enter. Okay, so this time I'm actually going to remove the original content and the command before we continue. And also what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit this a little bit to show Jarvis that I like shorter paragraphs because the original content was in longer paragraphs. So I just like to break it up so that Jarvis can see the pattern that I prefer shorter paragraphs. And then I'm just going to hit compose here. And we could keep on going. It depends on how much information you want. Okay, so Jarvis did get a little bit repetitive here, so he felt like he'd done his job and completed that content. So let's just put 3 stars in here, and we're just going to do the same thing again and again and again for each section. So rewrite the above. We're going to make sure this is an H2, so Jarvis knows it's an H2. Rewrite the above as a blog post intro paragraph with bullet points, etc. Now we could let's put 5 bullet points. And what else could we do here? So at any stage, you can change the tone of the voice in your in your content. So if you wanted to do this from the beginning, you could. If you wanted to make it more friendly or more informative or engaging. So let's say rewrite the above as a blog post intro paragraph with 5 bullet points talking to Florida veterans seeking disability benefits for neurological disorders in an engaging and informative manner. So just bear in mind, just like when you're cooking, a recipe, it's a suggestion. It's like the basics of what you need. But I'm sure that all of us, when we cook, I know I do, we take a basic recipe and we think that's okay, but I'd kind of quite like to put something else in there. So for instance, I was following a recipe the other day for some cinnamon pancakes, and I had some nutmeg next to the cinnamon. I thought, I wonder what it would be like if I blended the two. So I added nutmeg in. So I added my own little nuance to the recipe. So remember when you're working with Jarvis and Jarvis recipes that you can add your own nuances as long as you follow these types of patterns. So let's run this command. Just bear in mind that you can't go too long with your commands. Otherwise, Jarvis isn't going to accept them. So you have to make sure that you're within the parameters. So the VA is looking for people who have served in the military who are showing okay, so that's actually good content, but that's not in context here because we want to talk about multiple sclerosis. So I'm just going to run that again. See, Jarvis can't produce perfect content every time. I mean, there's nothing to say that wasn't good content, but not in the context exactly that I wanted. Here you go. Multiple sclerosis is a debilitating neurological disorder that affects many veterans. So again, it's expanding this. So it's got the 20 to 40 years old, other neurological disorders. So I'm just going to delete this because I want to continue on this. And as the recipe says, now that we've had our first output, we're going to delete the original content and then just tell Jarvis to compose. Okay, so I can see where he's going with this because we've talked about weakness in limbs, but again, it's not exactly what we want. So that's okay, Jarvis, go again. And that's the beauty of boss mode. Okay, it's relevant. Demyelization. Wow, I haven't heard that word for quite some time, but it is actually a word that I'm familiar with because my father-in-law has MS. Okay, so this is getting a little bit technical in terms of the MS and maybe not necessarily in context, but you can see, that you can expand the content. So it depends on the context of your article and how deeply you want to go into these topics. So this is going into diagnosis, so we don't need that. So let's just follow the recipe again. So we're going to get that command. This is only a little paragraph, so it won't take very long. Okay, so migraine headaches are a common ailment among veterans. It can be debilitating and often goes untreated. You deserve to know the facts about migraines. Here are some basics. Countless veterans suffer from debilitating migraines. Many veterans are unable to work. Migraine headaches rank at 50% disability ratings compared to other illnesses. Wow, okay, you definitely want to fact check this, but this is really cool information. Especially for lawyers, because they love talking about money, right? And this is in context of benefits. So again, you'd want to format this text and decide how much of this content you want, but this just goes to show the ability of Jarvis to take the topic and just keep on expanding and expanding upon that. So I'm just going to leave that one there, and we would continue that for the entire article. Actually, there's only one more to go, so let's do that one. Let's get that command. So again, 3 stars. Make sure it's an H2. Ooh. Should actually put that under the content we want to rewrite. Delete the content, the original content. Give us the title again. So, and I'm just going to take that off as bullet points here. Okay, so there's lots of helpful information there. And obviously you'd want to check that this is relevant and that that website is relevant. So let's have a look at the steps of the recipe again. So run the commands for all the sections. And then at the last command we're going to do is write a blog conclusion paragraph with a clear call to action. So here is our last paragraph. And make sure that's an H2. Okay, so command. Write a blog post conclusion paragraph with a clear call to action. Okay, that was a little short. Actually, one thing I like to do every now and again, I like a piece of content, but it's not exactly what I want for now. I'm just going to bump it down the document here. And I am just going to take the 3 stars out here because maybe we do want Jarvis to see what's above there. So let's just try that again. And one more time. I like this one. Much better. So we've rewritten that now. So we can leave this one in. I like that. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes just to tidy that up, get rid of my commands, and then we can see the finished. Okay, so here we have the finished article. Just done a little bit of tidying up, taking out the stars and everything. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to get rid of all the information that's at the top here. So we have just the article, and it's 1,531 words. Now, actually, in this project, I was tasked with seeing if I could expand 500 words into 1,500 words, and I did it almost exactly, 1,531 words here, 1,531 words, without even knowing that I was going to hit that target. So there you go. How to rewrite or expand a blog post or other piece of content with this recipe by Blogs by Jarvis. This is Amanda from blogsbyjarvis.com.